sudden movement to come rushing right at you. Rather than have to reel too hard to pick up on it, you can raise the rod and pick up on that slack. So what you're doing is you're pulling the fish with using the rod, not winching with the reel. The rod is moving the fish toward you. So what you do is you raise the rod, then you reel down. You raise the rod, and then you reel down. And as long as that fish is coming, you just keep doing that until you get him up here in the wash. And when you get that fish in the wash, you want to watch that wave. You've always got to keep an eye on that wave. When the wave comes in, raise the rod with the wave and bring the fish to you. Lower the rod down, raise with the wave, lower the rod down, and keep doing that with the wave. Now when you get closer to the edge of the beach, this beach here doesn't have a real high bank to it, so the backwash isn't so great. But a lot of places where you have a higher bank and the backwash from the wave is pretty high, you have to really be careful then. That's where your surf fishing comes into play. You've got the fish, you can see him, you're getting anxious, but keep your cool, just keep slow and steady. As the wave comes in, raise the rod, reel down. Raise the rod and reel down. And when you get him in, let that wave bring that fish up on the beach. When that wave comes in, let him bring it up on the beach. Just let that wave bring him, just work it. Let that wave come. You've got him, he's pretty much close to the beach and the wave goes out, give to that wave. Always give to the wave, don't work against it. Eventually, the wave will wash that fish. He's in, when that wave comes, you raise that line. Here comes the wave in, you let him bring it right up to the beach. Then merely give yourself enough slack, take it from the reel, just pull the slack off the reel. Put your rod and reel underneath your shoulder, underneath your armpit. Reach over and pick your fish up by the leader, or as close to the lure as you can. You don't want to try to use your rod and carry the fish back to the car. Another thing is, you saw me just there, I took the fish off, but if you have grass on your line, when you come in, a lot of people will do, they'll have that grass and they try to walk down to pick it up and they can't. All you do then is you raise your rod up, swing the line to you, grab the line, put your rod underneath your arm and take the grass off. You don't have to go through this business of putting the rod behind you and walking down the line and the wave comes in and gets sand all over your reel. Just, if you have grass on it, just raise that up till you can reach it, put your rod underneath your armpit, take the grass off, and then go on and cast. I'll go make a quick cast and I'll get some grass and I'll show you. Another thing too that I didn't mention in this is if you have a problem and the seagull gets in your line, be as easy and gentle with him as you can. Get him to the beach and take a towel and put it over his head. Then you can pick him up. He won't bite you as long as that towel's over his head, and then you can take unwrap the line from his wings and let him go on his way. Try not to hurt him. And that's a good way to do it, is just go ahead and throw that towel over his head. Here, I've got this in and we've got grass on it. And what I'm saying is all you do is just take that thing and use the rod and bring the lure to you, or your bottom rig to you, and merely put it under your arm and take it off. And that saves you from setting that reel down in the sand. That's one thing that you don't want to do. You want to keep the salt water and sand out of your reel. If you do have an accident and the reel does get in the sand, don't take it in the ocean and dip it off to wash the sand out. What you want to do is go back to your cooler, use some of your ice water and rinse it off with fresh water, but don't go out there and dip that thing in that ocean, because that ocean, especially at the surf, has as much sand in it as almost as the beach, so you're going to wreck your reels. So what you want to do is just flush that thing out with fresh water. When you wash these reels off, and you want to do that every time, never put pressure on the reel to where you push it up underneath the spools or take the spool off and push water down the run, the shaft that goes into the reel. What happens there is you get even fresh water inside of the reel mechanism will coagulate and it'll wreck it. All you want to do is rinse it off and wipe it off. That's good enough. You don't want to put high pressure on it. Most importantly, sharp knives. You need a sharp knife. A dull knife, you're going to make a terrible job. And what you want to do, this is the way that I fillet it. Start right from the head, right behind the gills, and just take that knife and cut right down to the backbone. Don't push real hard, right to the backbone. And you do that, and then take your knife, get between the backbone and the meat, work toward the tail. Just take that knife and go right along that backbone. Put your hand up underneath if you like. Push the meat away from the bone as you fillet. Go right down almost to the tail. Don't cut off the tail. And you just take that fish, that fillet, fold it back. Take your knife and go from the tail toward the front. Put it between the skin and the meat. Sharp knife. Slide it right down. Put your hand to hold it a little bit. Right down. And there's your fillet. No scaling, no muss, no fuss. Take that thing over if you don't want these belly bones. Take that knife, cut right down. There you've got a pretty fillet. You can use this, give this to your wife for fish stock or whatever you might want to do. It's as simple as that. Please don't drive on the dunes. Not only is it illegal to do that, but by taking the vegetation off of the dunes, what happens is it allows the water to flow through and get on the roads and creates a problem for the people that live here. The other thing that you don't want to do, and that's picking the sea oats. Park Service really frowns on them, so don't pick the sea oats. Try to respect the beach. If you see any fishing line and stuff like that laying on, pick it up, because all that does is get intertangled with the seagulls and causes a lot of problems. And work with the Park Service. After all, they're letting us keep this beach open, and we don't want to do anything to hinder that. You're driving along, and your car starts feeling like, you know, it's dragging and holding back, and you're having trouble moving. Don't get it in your head, well, all you need to do is go into that four-wheel low lock. Get out of that car before you get stuck, before you get in a situation. Get out of the car, drop those tires down to 15 pounds. 15 pounds of air will not break the bead. And what I mean by bead, that's the seal between the tire and the rim. And you can go down to 15 pounds, the air won't come out. It'll push that car right up on top of the sand, and you'll come right out with no problem. What you need with sand, when you drive in sand, is flotation. There's traction doesn't even enter the equation. It's flotation to keep that vehicle up off the sand. If you have a good hard tire, that creates resistance. Low lock spins those wheels, and there's where you go, straight down. So rarely do you ever have to do the low lock. I've never used it. I do know that what a lot of y'all are saying to yourselves, well, I knew all that, but I really never tried it. Well, try it. I'm sure it'll work for you. It sure has worked well for me for the past 25 years that I've been guiding people here on the Outer Banks. I appreciate you watching that video.